bucket or the opening play went to KP, Kenny Poto, and then the next 6 we turned it over, and so just didn't handle their pressure very well. But then I thought we settled down and made a game out of it. Just unfortunately, we just couldn't dig ourselves out of an early hole.
Coach, time and time again, you guys would cut that deficit down to 1 possession. Then Mizzou just always had an answer. What was it about trying to get over that hump that just didn't work for your group today?
Yeah, you think back to it, we had a really good look from the right wing. O'Board had another good look at the top of the key, go down, get a stop. Really good shooter in Dalen Rignall gets a corner 3. We don't make it. They go down. 55 makes one after the Connor Vanover kick out. And, and I thought there when it was 71-68, when Sean East makes that play, I thought that's a big play. So we had 3 chances. They had 1, and they capitalized on it. And really proud of our group, just given the hole that we kind of dug ourselves in, just the resiliency, and we'll learn to play better. I mean, we just didn't do a good job spacing the floor, and no offense to, we had kind of a tournament setting when we played Coastal Carolina. This was a road game with a really hostile crowd, and we'll learn from this.
Coach, what do you think about Harlan just keep responding to their pressure, and eventually, I think a 7-0 run there down the stretch. Just what did you like from him, and just how he responded to adversity?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, when you out-rebound a team by 17 and you hold them to 40%, you're going to have a chance to win a basketball game. And I've been through this before where you double up the rebounds on another team, but you don't take care of the ball. And sometimes you watch players when, especially if turnovers are early, they get frustrated. Harlan didn't do any of that. If you look, he led us in rebounding. He gets 17 rebounds by himself, and just did a phenomenal job. If half of their shots, which is how they play, are going to be from 3, you realize that the majority of the rebounds are going to come to your guards. And so Harlan being willing to stick his nose in there and make plays, I thought, you obviously wish you could run it back, but I thought the early drags really helped us, and more importantly allowed Harlan. And then we just didn't do a good job with our angles in the first half, and that got better in the second half, and we were able to chip away a little bit. But his rebounding ability, and then after the early turnovers, he really settled down.
And what was it about Missouri's pressure? Is it just the constant, just 94 feet, or what kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't, our turnovers weren't in the full court. They were in the half court. A lot of that's on me. We tried to go in early through some set instead of playing out of formations. We should have played out of formations a lot more than what we did, especially early. And I thought once guys understood what we were trying to do at halftime, we were able to kind of chip away there. But we've got to do a better job on formations rather than try to get a ball to a specific person.
And Harlan, tell me about just so many turnovers to start the game. How hard is it not to get frustrated and get frazzled on the road? Like, how did you guys respond to that, I guess?
I get frustrated. You give yourself an expectation and a standard to play at, and then when you don't necessarily live up to that standard in your own eyes, that's frustrating. I look at it as about 40% of our turnovers. If you just cut that in half, it's a 1-2 point game, probably a lot earlier than with four minutes to go, if that was correct. So it's just being able to keep your emotions in check, being able to understand that you won't be perfect, even though that is the goal. People get frustrated, but it's just the response, and I feel like I was even enough.
Harlan, can you just touch on the Mizzou defense? What was it about it that gave you guys trouble? You guys have been pretty good about taking care of the ball all year.
I don't necessarily have an answer for that. I feel like we were very prepared. We understood what their game plan was, and I feel like as players we didn't necessarily attack our game plan at the beginning as well as we could have. I feel like really we were chasing the whole game after being down with an 8-0 to begin. So I think we have to start better and execute better in the beginning of the game.
And Coach, did it just feel like you mentioned just like the advantage on the rebounding? Did it feel like you guys capitalized as much as you would have liked on the second chance?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been here a lot, and I've seen Quanzo Martin's top 25 teams, Mike Anderson's top 25 teams, Frank Haith's top 25 teams. This is a tough place to play. Dennis has a great team. They do a phenomenal job. We knew that the majority of their shots were going to be from three. I thought we were decent there. We weren't great at it. But I think, again, we have to learn how to do a better job of just playing in space. I know they had 13 steals, which is obviously attributed part of your 18 turnovers. But I thought some of the early ones weren't steals. They were just passing errors. And we'll do a better job of getting these guys in space and make necessary corrections. But there were a lot of things, obviously, being able to outscore them around the paint, and it wasn't through post touches, it was through penetration. Our guys were able to get to the rim, and we just have to utilize early drags and opportunities in transition better the next chance we get to play a game like this.
And Harlan, what kind of clicked for you in that? I think you had 7 straight down the stretch to kind of bring the team back. What was working well for you then?
Like you said, the early drags, it kind of gave the defense a different look. It brought their big, like above the three-point line almost, and kind of gave me a running start to go to the rim. So I feel like that did help all of us out, honestly. Like you said, it led to some open threes at the end. So I feel like that was a great adjustment.
Anything else?
Coach,
Thank you, guys. Yes.
Just any thoughts on Connor Vanover and how he played in Missouri's system?
Yeah, I love Connor Vanover. He's such a tremendous kid. Just phenomenal kid. So happy for him. You know, when he called me and his parents called me and asked me, you know, what I thought. I said, man, as he went through his recruiting process, and you know, he kind of told me that he was leaning this way, and this will be great. He'll figure it out. He's such a phenomenal kid. He cares about the right things, and you'll be blessed to be around a 7'5" kid of that caliber who carries that kind of smile. Phenomenal player, and that three he hit, that was a pretty big one. I've seen a lot of them.
He would do something infinitely crazy. Right. I'll make sure. Come on, man. What are we doing? I was just like one quarter away from the national. I was like that. You know that. If anyone was going to do it that long, no. I need some of the issue. How amazing it would be if he just got on there and said, Coach, I got you want to see you. Good 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 to see you. Thanks, Sean.
All right, Coach is going to start with an opening statement before moving on to questions.
Great atmosphere in Mizzou Arena. I thought our crowd definitely impacted the game. Again, congratulations to Coach Eli Drinkwich and his program. Unbelievable achievement, being able to be in a New Year's Six Bowl, the Cotton Bowl. That's a major accomplishment. Great for his career, great for our program, great for this city, great for this institution, great for the SEC. So my hat's off to his entire program. I wish them luck moving forward, he and his players. The game was a game where I thought we shot out of a cannon, so to speak, and we were able to do that defensively, which led to our lead. Credit Wichita State. They did not give up. They kept battling, making runs throughout the game, but every time there was a run, I thought our players responded with a big-time play, and I believe it was threes that allowed us to open the lead. There were some plays that didn't go our way, but we did a tremendous job being physical, getting to that foul line and executing. To be able to go, I believe, 23 for 25 from the free throw line, that's where the game is won. That's where the game is won, and I credit these guys up here to my right and left for what they've accomplished. Caleb Grill ending up with a double-double, 13 points, 10 rebounds. Sean East almost had a double-double with 22 points, 9 assists. So credit them for what they gave to the game tonight.
Questions? Coach, you started the game again with Tamar and Aiden in the starting lineup, and then it's like as you were closing, you had Caleb and Connor, and kind of with that core of your usual three. Just what do you feel like you were able to get to with different lineups tonight, and how's that process?
Well, I thought the guys who started earned that position. Nothing against the guys who did not start. They still had great practices going into it. So I just kept the camaraderie of what we did last game and see what it would look like this game. And we got off to a great start. So I credit the starters for being prepared. Guys are sort of falling and getting into their roles a little bit better, which is outstanding. I just think the big picture is you have depth. You want to keep guys on the court as you read the game. And I wanted free throw shooters. He was our best rebounder, so I wanted Caleb in the game because not only was he a great rebounder, he was defending in the right spot, and he was able to get down and run down some plays or loose balls that I thought was in our favor.
How would you evaluate both Aiden Shaw and Tamar Bates' performances tonight?
Well, Aiden Shaw did a tremendous job. He came away with 3 blocks, which is great, and he played 13 minutes, ended up with 5 rebounds. So you look at that calculation, that's one rebound every what? 2.5 minutes or something like that? 2:45. Somebody got a calculator? But analytically, he met his goal. I want him to be a rebounding threat by a rebounding percentage. So if you look at player efficiency rating, I'm not worried about made or missed field goals. I'm looking at rebounds. I'm looking at assists. He had 0 turnovers and he had 3 blocks, which is tremendous. Tamar Bates had a couple plays. I think he got unaggressive because of a turnover, but defensively he ended up with 3 steals. And I thought that one steal with a fast break dunk ignited our crowd, and he was able to bring us some stability out there whenever he was in. Again, Caleb Grill had a great game, so he went up plus 25 minutes, and we saw Ant Robinson in there and also Kurt Lewis from the perimeter.
Caleb, along the lines of what Coach was talking about, just can you take us through the process of kind of trying to
Elbows up.
settle into a role with a new team, and does that take a couple minutes to figure out, and do you feel like you've really done that in the last few games?
Yeah, I think, I just try to stick with what Coach Gates has told me. Obviously, it's a different system, but just what he says and what the coaching staff says, I just try to do it to my best of my ability. And I think it took a couple games to get adjusted, but now I feel comfortable with what's going on.
Caleb, I want to go back to the start of the game because you missed a layup, and then it seemed like frustrations were getting to you. But during a dead ball, Gates kind of said something to you, and then, to use your expression, you kind of shot out of a cannon with your performance tonight. And so I'm just wondering, what was it that Gates said to you, if you remember, and how do you kind of manage emotions in games like this?
Coach, when I come out of games, he just tells me I'm doing a good job, and, he does a really good job of keeping it positive, and then he'll correct you. But, he just kept my head up, and then I went back in there, and I still felt confident like I was from the beginning of the game.
I look at the positive when it comes to Caleb. When you have a guy play with the passion that he plays with, I make sure I meet him with some words of affirmation, meet him with some coaching, because a kid, and I played the same way, I had to make sure I left room for my coaching staff to coach me because I was so critical on myself, and that's where we kind of work with Grill about most of the time. I simply told him, hey, don't worry about that play, go get the next one, and he played a tremendous game. I look at the steal that he had on that play. Now, I don't know what he did with a behind the back finger roll, but we'll look at the film. But the play, that steal, was one of our 13 steals in the game, and I thought he did a good job of not being over upset about a possible foul call, and that's where I see his growth continuing to help us. The small victories within the game, being in the right position, trying to get deflections, we want to look at those plays versus just trying to make one big play, and ultimately he was able to make several small plays that led into him getting 10 rebounds, 13 points. He missed a wide open 3, but he came back and made a wide open 3 and was able to make some big shots for us.
What was it like playing your dad's old team?
It was nothing new, just a new scouting report, just sticking to the game plan like it was just another game, so I never really even thought about it when I was out there.
Sean, speaking of roles on the team, I mean, I'm sure you came into the year knowing this, but what's been your mentality adjustment? Last year you might have had a couple guys that were kind of the go-to guys when it got late, and you kind of seem to have become that guy in the last few weeks.
So what's your question?
What's the mentality change maybe from last year being to this year in your role?
No different mentality. I always had the same mentality, but just the game has been presenting itself for me to score and make decisions late game. So, I mean, I'm just trying to execute what coach is trying to get out of me, and I'm just trying to be the best leader as possible. So if that's putting guys in the right spot or making the right reads on certain situations, that's what I'm gonna do.
Sean, it seemed like the offense really started to open up in the second half when you started getting paint touches. What did you see that helped you guys start getting buckets after that?
We went to to start the game. We went single and double drags, and we went back to that late in the second half, and we just had some good rolls, some good pop threats, and then Caleb Grill hit like two or three threes. Who else hit threes? Connor hit a pick and pop 3. I mean, we was just Nick Honor hit I think a few in the first half. Like we was just trying to find the weak link in the defense.
You want to tell them what you told me in the huddle about the game? when I tried to call plays.
Oh, I said just keep it simple. I mean, I said keep it simple. We're coming down and getting easy buckets off just a pick and roll and find a mismatch because they was putting 2 on the ball or they wasn't guarding me or the corner guy was helping in to find the skip to Caleb Grill. So we was kind of panicking a little bit. So I'm like, just keep it simple and we're gonna get open looks that we want.
And I tried to call a play, but as soon as I tried to call a play, it was a turnover on the other end, and they converted it to a basket. So I immediately shut up and listened to my guys. But they made great plays. Nick Honor, Sean East was able to make some great plays off the bounce and keep them in rotation. And our guys were able to set great screens. You look at Jordan Butler, his points off the screen and roll into that basket. Sean was able to find them in addition to the throwback threes or in addition to the collapse defense. And then you look at Connor Vanover's points. There was a couple of them off lobs as well. So that's the simplifying the game. But thanks to Coach Sean East, I listened, I paid attention to the game. He rescued us again and got me out of the way of myself as I tried to call some plays, and he audibled like a true quarterback.
Sean has his fifth 20-plus point game today, but also he led the team with 9 assists.
Yeah.
Just what kind of impact does also he bring, not just as a scorer, but also as a facilitator for your offense?
Well, I think when you look at stats, Sean wants to win. First and foremost, he loves to win. He's a competitor. You should see him in practice if his team ever loses, right? He does not, he hates to lose. And when he's looking at anything other than win, loss, it's not about stats. It's about assists, if anything. And, being responsible for 18 points or even more if you count the threes. He had anywhere from, you look at the 22 points, it's probably 50 points he was responsible for, but also his assist attempts. So when it comes down to our team, I'm proud of Sean's development, but I'm also proud of how he stays connected and he knows the pulse of our team. He knows when to get someone a shot. He was the first one to get Noah Carter and say, hey, keep shooting it. Try to encourage him because he was 1 for, I believe, 9, 1 for 6 from 3, and they were wide open. He was the first one to tell certain guys to be able to shoot the next one. So he reads the game in a great way. Their experience, his experience, and all of our guys' experience helps. But defensively, I look at that part of the game for him too. He's been impacting the game defensively, being able to turn guys, put a little pressure behind on the backcourt, but also get some steals. How many steals you end up with today? 3 steals today. So I credit him playing a complete game.
Dennis, you mentioned earlier in the week trying to get to the line more, that being an issue, a current issue. What did you make of that?
I mean, knock on some wood. I'm glad we were able to get to the foul line, but looking at the execution of it, we were 23 for 25, shooting 90%, I believe, and that's a tremendous stat. And those things matter when you look at the ones that we missed. I think Noah Carter missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Sean East missed the first part of a technical foul or flagrant. Those are 2 guys we would still want shooting free throws. And I just thought ultimately being able to execute at that line but get there, we played aggressive basketball. We got 50-50 balls, and Caleb Grill led us in that category of chasing down loose balls, trying to be able to be a factor or a spark defensively along with Ant Robinson. I thought Ant Robinson played some great minutes, converting some turnovers into points, but he's changing the game, and the way he sees it, he gives his very best at all times, and I'm excited about what I see and how he's continuing to grow. Jordan Butler, I'm going to continue to challenge him from a rebounding standpoint. He got to go from making 2 efforts defensively to 3 or 4. Right now he's a 2-effort guy, and he has to turn that into 3-4 efforts, no different than you see Caleb Grill. Caleb Grill's probably a 4 to 5 effort guy every defensive possession, and Jordan Butler got to match that.
Coach, you've won 4 straight. What do you kind of like about where your team's at right now, and as you guys move into a big one next week?
I have selective amnesia. Okay, I couldn't even tell you what we won, but I just want to make sure we're moving our group in the right direction. The most important opponent that we have is ourselves, and our guys will say that. So we're just going to look at the film, continue to get better, but also make sure these guys are focused on this last week of school, because I want them to be able to finish as good as possible academically and have no slip up. So when you do that, I think those details spill into the court. Guys being on time, guys always turning in work. Those details leads to our team discipline. Those are real reps to figure out who we are going to be in the future. And I just thank our guys for what they do each and every day, balancing their schedules, being on time, giving their very best in the community, in the classroom, and then that habit showing up on the court.
Last one to Cal. Cal, it looked like you took a bit of a tumble toward the end of the second half there, kind of down on the court for a little while. Just how are you feeling? What was kind of wrong on that play?
I'm feeling pretty good. I just landed pretty hard, so I was glad to get a little break, and I thank CP, athletic trainer, for being out there for me. So, I feel fine. So.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, MIZ.